Mastering Terraform State. Advanced Lifecycle, Debugging, and Import Strategies. Let me ask you something. Have you ever run Terraform apply, watched it complete successfully, and then gotten a call from someone on your team saying the server isn't behaving right because they sieged in and changed something manually? Or maybe you inherited a cloud environment where half the infrastructure was clicked together in the AWS console by hand, and none of it exists in any state file anywhere? These are real problems, and basic Terraform knowledge doesn't solve them. What we're covering today is the advanced layer of Terraform state management, the techniques that separate engineers who know Terraform from engineers who truly control it. We're talking lifecycle management with Taint and Untaint, deep diagnostic visibility with TF_log equals trace, and pulling unmanaged cloud resources fully into your IAC pipeline with Terraform import. This is Terraform at the professional level. Let's get into it. Lifecycle control, visibility, and integration. Before we go deep on any one topic, let me frame the three pillars we're working with today, because they connect directly to the Terraform state file at the center of everything. The first pillar is lifecycle control. This is where you use Taint and Untaint to surgically force or bypass resource recreation, without tearing down your entire stack. It's precision surgery on your infrastructure. The second pillar is visibility. This is where you crack open Terraform's internal engine using TF_log equals trace and expose the RPC calls, plugin operations, and state lineage that standard error messages never show you. When standard errors aren't enough, you go deeper. The third pillar is integration. This is Terraform import, the bridge between the chaotic, manually created real world and your clean, version-controlled IAC pipeline. It's how you bring rogue infrastructure home. All three feed directly into and out of Terraform state. Master these three, and you master the entire lifecycle of your infrastructure. Tainted state. Let me walk you through exactly how a resource ends up in a tainted state, because once you see the sequence, it all makes sense. Step 1. You provision a resource. Say it's Oz_instance, web server 3. Terraform creates it. Everything looks fine. Step 2. A provisioner runs. Maybe it's a local exec provisioner meant to write the instance's public IP to a temp file. And it fails. The directory doesn't exist. Exit status 1, command failed. Step 3. This is the critical moment. The resource physically exists in AWS. The EC2 instance is running. But Terraform knows the provisioner failed. The resource is in a degraded state. So Terraform automatically marks it as tainted. Step 4. On your next Terraform plan or apply, Terraform sees that taint flag. It schedules a --+ operation, destroy the existing resource, then create a brand new replacement from scratch. Clean slate. That's the automated taint lifecycle. The resource isn't deleted immediately, it's flagged, and the replacement is scheduled for the next cycle. Terraform is giving you a chance to review before it acts. The problem and the solution. Now let me show you a scenario where you need to trigger this yourself, manually. The problem. A developer SSHs directly into an AWS EC2 instance and manually updates the Nginx version. Maybe they were testing a hotfix. Maybe they were in a hurry. Whatever the reason, the server now has software on it that Terraform doesn't know about. The state file thinks it's still on the old version. Configuration drift has occurred, and Terraform is blind to it. The solution. You reach for Terraform Taint. You run Terraform Taint Oz_instance, web server. Terraform responds. Resource instance Oz_instance. Web server has been marked as tainted. Then you run Terraform plan. And you see it, --+ for Oz_instance, web server. Terraform is going to destroy the drifted instance and provision a clean, correctly configured replacement. You haven't touched the rest of your stack. You haven't run Terraform destroy. You've surgically targeted exactly the resource that went out of compliance and scheduled it for clean recreation. That's manual tainting. It's precise, it's controlled, and it keeps your infrastructure honest without requiring a full stack destroy and apply cycle. Untaint. Reversing a taint. Now here's the scenario that trips people up. What if the taint was a mistake? Maybe the provisioner failed because of a missing directory, and you fixed that directory issue directly on the system without going through Terraform. The underlying problem is resolved, but Terraform still has that taint flag set. On the next apply, it's going to destroy and recreate a resource that's actually fine now. That's where Terraform Untaint comes in. You run Terraform Untaint Oz_instance, web server, and Terraform responds. Resource instance Oz_instance, web server has been successfully untainted. The system impact is immediate. Terraform removes the replacement flag. On the next apply, it will no longer attempt to destroy and recreate that resource. It moves forward as if the taint never happened. This is the escape hatch. Taint gives you control to force recreation. Untaint gives you control to stop it. Together, they put you in complete command of the resource lifecycle, instead of just reacting to whatever Terraform decides to do automatically. Lifecycle command matrix. Let me give you a clean reference for every command in this lifecycle, because having these straight in your head saves you in production. Terraform Taint marks a resource as tainted. Effect forces that resource to be replaced on the next apply. Use it when you need a clean rebuild of a specific resource. Terraform Untaint removes a taint from a resource. Effect prevents resource replacement during the next apply. Use it when a taint was applied by mistake, or when you've resolved the underlying issue externally. Terraform Plan verifies the replacement plan. Effect shows you which resources are marked with -/+ for replacement. Always run this before apply so you know exactly what's about to happen. Terraform Apply executes the changes. Effect carries out the required resource creation and replacement operations based on what the plan confirmed. 4 commands. Complete lifecycle control. Every professional Terraform workflow runs through this matrix. The visibility funnel. TF_log levels. Now let's talk about debugging, specifically what you do when standard error messages aren't enough to tell you what went wrong. Terraform has a logging system with 5 levels, and they form a funnel from surface to core. At the top, error. This is what you normally see. Standard failure messages. They tell you something went wrong, but they don't always tell you why. Below that, warnings that aren't failures but deserve attention. Then info, general operational information about what Terraform is doing. Then debug, more detailed internal output that starts to show you how Terraform is processing your configuration. And at the very bottom, the deepest level, trace. Trace is the nuclear option. It exposes the absolute internal core of the Terraform engine, plugin operations, state lineage assignments, RPC calls between Terraform and its providers, dependency graph traversal. Everything. When standard errors fail to explain a problem, trace will find it. The key word there is, when standard errors fail. You don't run trace on every deploy. You reach for it specifically when you're debugging a hard-to-diagnose issue and you need to see inside the engine. Activating TF_log equals trace, configuration and output. Here's exactly how you turn it on. Step 1 is configuration. In your terminal, you set 2 environment variables. First, export TF_log equals trace. This activates maximum verbosity logging. Second, export TF_log_path equals /tmp/terraform.log. This routes all that output to a file instead of flooding your terminal. Then you run your Terraform command, plan, apply, whatever you're debugging. Step 2 is reading the output. Open that log file and you'll see entries like these. Debug, new state was assigned lineage with a UUID hash. This shows you the exact moment a new state file is initialized and given its unique identifier. Debug, checking for provisioner in the current directory. This shows Terraform actively scanning for provisioner plugins. Debug, plugin, waiting for RPC address from a specific path with a process ID. This shows the communication handshake between Terraform and the provider plugin process. Every line is a window into the internal machinery, and somewhere in there is the answer to whatever your error message couldn't tell you. Now, and this is critical, after you finish debugging, you must disable it. Run unset TF_log and unset TF_log_path. Verbose logging hammers your system performance. And more importantly, trace output can expose sensitive infrastructure data, resource IDs, IP addresses, internal paths. You don't want that sitting in a log file on a shared system. Enable it to debug. Disable it when you're done. Every time. Managed versus unmanaged resources, the real-world dilemma. Now let's talk about one of the most common real-world Terraform problems that nobody prepares you for. In a perfect world, every cloud resource in your infrastructure was created by Terraform. It's all in the state file. Everything is tracked. Everything is managed. In the actual world, your EC2 instance might be in Terraform. But that S3 bucket? Someone created it manually through the AWS console 3 months ago. That DynamoDB table? Created by a script that predates your IAC adoption. None of it is in your state file. The dilemma is this. In real-world environments, infrastructure is often created manually via the console or other tools. So how do you pull these isolated resources into the Terraform state file? How do you bring them under management without recreating them from scratch, which might mean data loss, downtime, or breaking dependencies? This is exactly what Terraform Import was built to solve. Data sources versus Terraform Import. Before we walk through the import process, you need to understand a critical distinction, one that a lot of engineers get wrong. Data sources and Terraform Import look similar on the surface, but they do fundamentally different things. Data sources, using the data block, are read-only. They let Terraform fetch attributes of an existing resource, like a dynamic IP address. But they don't alter the state file. Terraform can read from a data source, but it cannot update, modify, or destroy that resource. It's a window into your infrastructure, not a handle on it. Terraform Import is read-write. When you run Terraform Import, it queries the cloud provider and injects the resource directly into your state file. From that moment forward, Terraform has full lifecycle control. It can update attributes, plan changes, and destroy the resource if instructed. It assumes complete ownership. The decision point is this: do you need Terraform to just reference the resource? Use a data source. Do you need Terraform to actually manage and control the resource going forward? Use Terraform Import. These are different tools for different intentions. Know which one you need before you reach for either. The 3-step import workflow. Let me walk you through the complete import process, because there's a specific sequence you have to follow, and skipping any step breaks it. Step 1 is the empty shell. Before you can import anything, you need to create the resource block in your configuration file. It doesn't need attributes yet, just the skeleton. A resource block for Oz_ instance named WebServer2 with an empty body. This is critical. If the config block doesn't exist, the import command will error immediately. The config block must exist before you run the command. Also at this stage, the state file is empty for this resource. Terraform has no knowledge of it yet. Step 2 is the command execution. Now you run the import. Terraform import Oz_ instance. WebServer2 followed by the actual instance ID from AWS, something like IO26 and the full ID. Terraform takes that ID, queries AWS directly, and populates the state file with all the resource's current attributes. Your configuration file is still unchanged at this point. Terraform doesn't write back to your config files. Step 3 is the alignment. This is the manual step that people often forget. Now that the state file is populated with the real attributes of the resource, you need to update your configuration file to match. Fill in the AMI, the instance underscore type, the security group IDs, everything that reflects the actual current state of that resource in AWS. Once you've done that, run Terraform plan. You should see, no changes. Infrastructure is up to date. That message is your confirmation. The resource is now fully managed. Post-import verification. The moment you've completed alignment and Terraform plan comes back clean, everything has changed for that resource. Your configuration file now shows the full resource block, AMI ID, instance type, VPC security group IDs, all matching reality. The terminal shows Oz_ instance. WebServer2 refreshing state from the actual instance ID in AWS, and then, no changes. Infrastructure is up to date. The resource is now fully managed. Standard init, plan, and apply workflows resume as normal. That previously rogue resource now lives inside your IAC pipeline. Every future change goes through Terraform. Every update is tracked. Every deployment is version controlled. The chaos is contained. The infrastructure is clean. The Terraform Master Cycle. Let's bring it all together, because everything we've covered today isn't a collection of isolated tricks. It's a continuous loop, a complete operational cycle. Step 1. Build and integrate. You bring rogue or externally created resources into the IAC pipeline using Terraform import. No more shadow infrastructure. No more resources that exist outside your awareness. Everything gets pulled into the fold. Step 2. Observe and debug. When complex runs produce errors that standard messages can't explain, You activate tf_log equals trace and inspect the internal engine. Plugin failures, RPC handshakes, state lineage, you see all of it. You diagnose with precision instead of guessing. Step 3. Manage and correct. When configuration drift occurs or resources degrade, you reach for Taint and Untaint. You bypass drift and force clean, controlled recreation of exactly the resources that need it, without disrupting the rest of your stack. And then the cycle repeats. Import, observe, manage, import, observe, manage. This is what it means to have ultimate control over infrastructure. It requires absolute mastery over state, not just knowing what Terraformed is, but knowing how to intervene, diagnose, and correct at every stage of the lifecycle. That's the Terraform Master Cycle. That's the professional level. And that's a wrap on advanced Terraform State. From automated tainting to surgical lifecycle control, from tf_log equals trace deep diagnostics to importing years of manually created infrastructure into a clean IAC pipeline. If this is the kind of content you've been looking for, the stuff that actually prepares you for real production environments, then hit subscribe. This is what we do here every week. Like this video if it helped you. It genuinely makes a difference in getting this content to engineers who need it. And drop a comment. Have you ever had to import an unmanaged resource into Terraform? Did it go smoothly or was it a nightmare? Tell me the story. I'm down in the comments every single time. See you in the next one.